Hi, and welcome to Sixcess Stories. We are your hosts, Christina Gent.
And Eric Ozarowski.
And this is where we get to share real conversations with the members of the 6 Degrees community, all about life, leadership, and the power of meaningful connections. And on today's episode, we have Connor McAree. He is the founder and the owner of Skyward Consultants.
Yeah, in this episode with Connor, we start with a real life interaction around being a client of his and just working through some expectations. We get into his journey of basically sacrificing for several years and living in a 23-foot trailer, and ultimately to where he's at now, running this really successful business where he's brought on several people that he used to work with and still partners with people he used to work with. So relationships showing up throughout his success. We get into some fun about winning the lottery and what we would do with that money. And then we talk about how he's building his culture around AI and really integrating that into the team, finding new use cases to actually solve problems and be more efficient.
It was really fun, and Connor's a wonderful human that we just have gotten to know so well over the last few years, and even started off as kind of competitors when we first met, so just kind of full circle moment, and we were really excited to have that conversation with him. So please enjoy this episode of Sixcess Stories. Yeah.
Are we live?
We are live.
Cool.
always recording.
So as a check-in, what is, and I'm borrowing this from the stretch that we just did because it's what's top of mind unless you have something else. What is each of our energy level right now coming into this on a scale of 1 to 5?
Starting with me, I'd say I'm about in the middle, a 3.
3?
Yeah. Went to a Padre game last night, stayed out a little bit later than I usually would on a school night, but yeah.
School nights will get you.
Those school nights will get you. It's also funny that you referred to it as a school night. One of our members in the stretch we just had also said they were at a concert and they said the same thing, like, yeah, I don't usually stay out that late on a school night. And I'm like, what are we talking about? School? Like, yeah, it's funny. It's funny to call it that when clearly it's not even like we have kids that we're actually thinking about a school night, right?
It's a mindset that always learning.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Oh, I like that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I would say I'm a 4. So coming out of the group, I wasn't quite a 4, but I think just being around some people, and even when it's small, just getting energy from other people and being in that small group setting can be really productive. So yeah, I'm at a 4.
Yeah, I haven't felt awesome the last couple of days, and so even going into the stretch, I was really a 3, and coming out of it, I had some coffee as well, so I know that definitely helped, but coming out of that, I was very, very energized by being around people. It was a full group. It was really energizing. Plus, there was, I don't know, 4 or 5 people within it who were all on a level 5. So their energy was very magnetizing. So I feel really awesome coming into this with a higher energy than if I would have, if I didn't have that experience beforehand. I was certainly thinking about that today. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be super low energy? I don't want to do that to you, Connor. I almost even thought, like, should we be doing this today if I'm gonna be that low? So I'm just really, really grateful for that energy boost, and so I'm here and I'm present, and now I feel really good.
Just that little circle brought me up to a 4. So.
Hell yeah.
Nice. I love it.
That's what we like to hear.
Part of the reason for the check-in is just like, where am I at right here, right now? And then if other people share, does that change anything, right? And sometimes it can, especially when we have the energy conversation. Well, super excited to have you here. Do you want to dive into the email exchanges that we have? Is that the place to start?
We can start wherever you guys want.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start there. I mean, okay, I'll share that I was unaware so there's parts of the business that we very much are trying to carve out our lanes. And Eric and I are great about it in certain parts of the business, and then we're not great about it in a lot of other parts of the business. But certainly accounting and taxes and financial things in general, it's really like that's something that he's taken on. So we're driving here, and Eric's like, here, you should read this email real quick. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And he was like, to give you context. I'm like, context about what? I don't know what's going on. You guys have been the ones in conversation. So it was just a really interesting thing for me to even step into. And the way that, Eric, you even shared it with me made it seem like it was not a positive exchange. And so it made me really anxious coming into this. And then I read it and I'm like, I don't know why that was the energy that I got from you, Eric, because
that wasn't my intention at all.
Okay, because it seemed like I was like, "What is this?"
Just the original reaction, Christine was like, "This is really long. You want me to read all this right now?" Right?
Well, I just didn't. Okay, the way that it came off, what my experience was that I needed this context to come into this conversation, and I started reading through it. And I'm like, all of this is about bookkeeping. Why do I need this context for this conversation right now? I just was really confused.
Yeah.
So that's my experience of jumping into the conversation.
Sure. And so, yeah, I mean, so for Connor, I'm curious for you, like, how did my original email land? Was it sharp? This is very much of, I sent an email and I was just like, we missed the date. And then I just wanted to point out, like, we said, hey, this is the date that I thought we agreed to. And I just wanted to name it and just very much come from like, this might happen and just can we get communication on it? That's how I hoped it landed, and I'd love to hear just actually how it landed because things get lost in email. And let's talk through it in real time.
100%. And I'll be honest, reading it, my initial reaction was, okay, I look at the calendar, count the days. It's, we had the holiday. And then I get to it. It's okay. So this is the 6th day. So we're like a day off, which... Granted, we're targeting for a 5-day, which is fair. So, you always want to exceed your client's expectations.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction is, so clearly that's not happening here. And my initial gut feeling was kind of not good. Luckily, I have Leela on my team. I forwarded her the email and I said, hey, can we get on a call and chat about this? And we just talked about overall, like, this relationship. I mean, it goes beyond just the working relationship. We've had such a great relationship in other ways.
Yeah, for sure.
So ultimately ended with, okay, we want to make this work. How do we kind of meet in the middle ground to do that? So it became more of that email back. Yes, it was a little bit long, but it really was just trying to, like, maybe realign the expectations. If we want to get to that point, what are the things that we need to do that?
Yeah.
But also within that, we're a business. To 100%. Meet those expectations, there's going to be extra work and things that are going to have to be done. So, I think it was, maybe it was a little bit of a long-winded email, but it was also just trying to get everything out there so then we could, figure out the best path to move forward.
Yeah, and no judgment on, like, the length of the email. I just more of, so it sounds like it didn't necessarily land the way that I hoped of just, I want to point this out. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could laugh in the email and be like, let's work through it. That's what I want to figure out. Part of it was just to have numbers by the 5th. What would it take to get there, right, is kind of what we talked about. And I really appreciated your response of, well, here's the data. Here's what we've done so far. Mm-hmm. And that was helpful for me to go, okay, so good to know just what the track record is.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goal with that was like, so cool, we haven't hit it yet. What do we got to do? To your point about relationship is like, I want to make this work, not just because of the business side, because just appreciate what you do and the value that you provide and like what you've done versus what other people that we worked with have provided. So all of that is part of it, right? And so for me, it was just, I sent it and I was like, man, I really hope he doesn't like throw his arms up and be like, what the fuck, Eric? It's like especially when it's like, we got it to you on day 6 after a holiday, not day 5. Fuck you a little bit.
Well, ultimately, I think we arrived at a good place where now we can continue the conversation more like on an operational level of, all right, how do we get there? So, feelings aside, I'm good. Feelings aren't hurt at all.
Good.
I'm glad we could talk about it here. I thought it would be a good opportunity. Originally, when I saw the email, I thought, hey, do I write this email back or just say, hey, you want to talk about this on the podcast?
Honestly, I didn't. When I sent it, and again, just to take a step back in context, is you started helping us with our bookkeeping. We've gone through a couple different bookkeepers in the past, and our main reason to switch over to you was we hadn't been working with anyone that was a member of 6 Degrees. And so obviously that relationship for us is really valuable, important. Like we want to walk the walk, we want to talk the talk around. We have amazing members that offer services, and as business owners, how do we tap into that and utilize your services? And so the other side of that is we're a small client for you guys, right? And I'm very, very conscious of that and appreciative for the level of just expertise that you're providing us as a smaller client. So, and it was more for me, however it landed, but it was just like, hey man, and almost like, hopefully it comes from a place of love, but how do we hold each other accountable and work through it? That was my intention, without even knowing that you were our guest for today's podcast. Like, I didn't actually know that you were I just saw it on the calendar, like, oh, we're going to Mic Drop for a guest. And then I got your email back, and I was like, oh, shit, I should have, everything that you just said, I'd be like, hey, man, you want to talk about it today? It would have been so playful and so fun, and here we are, so.
Yeah, well, glad we worked through it, or we're going to work through it.
Yeah, I mean, so we have all been in a leadership lab together, so we each have a base of knowledge of that tool set too, right? So kind versus nice is coming up for me right now, listening to the two of you.
Excuse me.
You good?
Yep. Carbonation. Apologies.
These kombuchas are no joke.
They'll get you. Okay, I'm good. Sorry.
So kind versus nice is coming up as I'm listening to the two of you, right? It's how can I have this conversation and be kind to the person that I have so much respect for, that I want to continue building a relationship with, not just professionally, but also, I mean, I consider you a friend, and I consider this relationship a lot closer than colleagues or whatever. And so I really appreciate that we can have conversations and talk about real shit and not just hide or bring out the niceness that can come out and just be like, oh my God, yeah, totally. Let me just do the thing, or let me just whatever, because I am too scared or too uncomfortable. And each of you are like, no, let's just talk about it. We can talk about it on air and see what happens. Like,
Well, that's the other part. Like, the nice thing would have been, oh, it's Connor. It's a couple days late, and I don't say anything, which I don't know that helps you as a business owner. I'd be interested for you, like, in your experience with other clients, would you rather have this come up and work through the process in the back end, or for something this small, it's like, I'm genuinely interested.
Oh, no, I mean, I think open, honest, frequent communication is like, I mean, it's one of our values, trust and transparency. So a client's feeling a certain way, I definitely want to know. I don't want there to be any resentment or anything with our clients. Like, I always want things to be open and, in the air. And I think that's how, as a business owner and as a business, we're going to get better. And I think for you guys too, that's how you're going to get the information, the things that you need. And kind of to go back to your kind versus nice, the nice thing, like, for me to do in that situation would be, oh, sorry, Eric, we're really going to make this happen. But that's at the expense of my staff, my other clients.
100%.
So really the kind thing is to say, okay, I hear you. I want to get to that goal, but here's what it's going to take. And it's going to be an effort of both of us. So yeah, 100%.
Well, so that's what I appreciated in your response was, so there was data of, here's the last couple runs that we've done, because it's a newer thing that we're working together, and understanding that this is going to take a little bit of time to find the rhythm. I also worked with someone where it took 9 months, my last bookkeeper.
And still didn't find
And we still didn't get into the rhythm. So I was very patient. Maybe part of that is just previous history of just like, all right, maybe I need to be a little bit kinder earlier rather than like, oh, next month. Because all of a sudden a year goes by and it's like, shit, okay, still not quite there. So what I really appreciated about your response, and again, length is whatever, it was necessary because you gave me 4 different options. We're missing this right now, and here's some options for us to work through. If that's the goal, if that's what you need, here's what it would take, right? And we can talk through those in detail. And I just appreciated that approach to it because it was really helpful for me, because I believe when we first sat down, part of it was you were a little hesitant to be like the 5th, and it was a little tight just based on the level of kind of commitment that you guys wanted to put in, or the amount of work that would be involved with our account, again, being a smaller account, to turn it that quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
The 5th, really, and be interesting to hear other businesses' perspectives. I'd say the 5th is a very quick turnaround on any set of books.
Yeah.
Let alone, to your point, like a smaller one. Not to think of our clients like that, right? We try to give the same level of care to all of them.
For sure.
But just, I mean, I guess I would take it from your guys' world. If you have one member that is super needy, not to say that you guys are being super needy. But right, if you have one member that you find taking 10% of your time, but they are, as a result of all your members, like a smaller member, at some point you guys would have to put up some boundaries, right? Like you can't just, and that goes back to the being kind versus nice. So, you know, if you're nice, you're going to give everything to that member at the expense of your other members, versus being kind, you figure out a way that everyone can win. And so everything in business and in life, it's you each, like in negotiation, right? You each got to give a little to get a little. So
yeah.
Well,
yeah, and that was for me was, so if what will it take, right? And if the answer is, well, we need to like quadruple the price for it to make sense, then okay, like maybe that doesn't work right now, right? As much as we want to work together, just having the options and talking through the options for your end. Like, I don't want to take advantage of you. I don't want to be needy. I want to give you what you have. And I see you smiling a little bit.
I shouldn't have said that word.
Can you remind me, I know this goes back to, so our coach, which Rudy is our coach, which we fly him out here, but I know that so much of the book's conversation, and it comes from stuff that you've done with him. Can you just remind me, like, why is it that day?
Well, so I think to your point, Connor, like most businesses, the 10th or the 5th is a quick turnaround. What we've been trying to get better at is to be more proactive and less reactive. And part of that was doing budgeting and forecasting. And so part of the reason for the 5th, if I don't get numbers till the 10th, and if there's any changes, it takes another day or two, we're halfway through the month before we're just reacting to 2-week-old data at that point, right? We can't actually move the needle. And what Christine and I are trying to get to is where we're forecasting, understanding what sales are coming in, and being able to operate from a place of, okay, this month we're a week in and we have this much revenue, and this is what we need to do. This is how we actually need to operate, changes that we need to make in the moment to move the needle to get our business to where it needs to be. Yeah. And so that's the why behind it.
I guess
it's more of a timing thing to be able to use the numbers rather than just going like, cool, we did that last month. Let's turn the page. We're in a new month and doing it. 'Cause that's how we've been operating.
But, okay, so again, I'm not in this part of the business, so I don't know.
You're the CEO. You need to be more in this part of the
I'm
business.
just saying that, like, I'm not in the conversations with the accounting piece like you are. And I know that part of the goal is so that, like you just said, we can get to these conversations where we are looking at the P&L every single month, and we're doing this with our team, not just with Eric and I. Like, we've believed in open books financials since the beginning, and we want to include them. And anyway, so can our month, does it have to be like from the 1st until the 30th or the 31st, like start and stop? Or can we just operate from like whatever would make sense as far as, there's nothing, I guess for our business, there's nothing that's happening, even with recurring quarterly membership payments and that kind of thing. Like, they come at the time of the month that someone pays for it. Like, there's nothing that's happening like on the 1st or on the 31st or whatever. Can we just move what our quote unquote month is from day 1 to day 30?
I understand what you're saying, and I think we could maybe find a way that you guys can get the information you're looking for without necessarily waiting until the end of the month when bank statements come out and accounts are reconciled. Because that's, you know, the trigger point for us where we go in and start doing the work. But to your point, money's coming in, expenses are going out, so there's a way from more an intelligent standpoint that Wix is the platform you guys are using, and you have your sales reports within Wix, so we could get your revenues from there. We have live bank feeds, so we're able to capture all your expenses. So, you know, you can have sort of a running view of your profitability at any given month. It's just going to miss the allocation, the kind of
the detail,
the clean reconciliation, the detail. And we could get to a better place with that if we can kind of fix the way that those two systems are talking to each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, statements come out, some come out on the 31st, some credit card statements might come out on different days for certain clients. I think you guys are also on the 31st for those. But you could imagine from our perspective, you know, we've got over 30 clients now.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you. And all recurring clients, and they're all expecting the reports within the first 10, 15 days of the month.
Right.
So it's a mad dash to get all those things done and reconciled. And so managing people to do those things, having to go in, do the oversight, make sure all those pieces are moving along. Sometimes things can take a little bit longer, and then your guys' organization is constantly changing and adapting. So there's sometimes new things that'll show up. So then that'll require some correspondence between us, which will maybe take another couple days where we'll kind of be at a pause until we can get that information. So I'm sure there's a way that we could get you guys sort of what you're looking for, but it might, maybe prior to like the clean reconciliation. So
yeah, I think there's probably a happy medium of it's not the final end all, and to have a little bit more of, again, the unofficial. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that's probably the path. And just understanding that what we're trying to do, right? Because I understand how most businesses operate.
Yeah.
In terms of like, the 10th or the 15th, most businesses, in my opinion, and just talking with Rudy and working in the pizza restaurant that I worked in, is like that can work, and they're reacting versus being proactive around. I can't manage the line item 15 days after it happened. Specifically, so Rudy comes from restaurants, so it's very much this restaurant mentality of like, this week, what are we doing this week to increase profitability, increase sales? We're not there yet. And so part of my hope is that we're not, as a smaller entity, can we really find a really simple way where it's taking you guys a couple hours and like we're not biting into your team's time?
Well, I mean, we have support that we've hired now. Are there things, data entry, is there something that could be done beforehand or from her that's, here's just go do this task, that would help?
Yeah, we could work to collaborate on some of that. I think what you're looking for, right? Because even if we get it by the 5th, you're still looking backward. So maybe we take a look at what the operating expenses are, so the fixed expenses and things that you guys have. And then, so as a baseline, right, your revenue needs to exceed that, your membership revenue.
Right.
And then for all of your kind of other events that you guys do, you guys can manage more of a running forecast each month of, okay, here's all the ticket sales we have for this event. Here's the forecasted expenses. With those two things, I mean, you could get really a current view of what, your month is going to be. And then we would validate that in the next month with the actual. So we could say, okay, this is what we thought we were going to do this month, and this is what we actually did.
Right.
So that might...
and that actually might be more of, what we need. It's not actually that the numbers need to be finalized. I think it still would be helpful to have it, again, by the 5th, and if we had to make changes, but we're still, to your point, operating, looking back.
Yeah.
Right. And so having more of like the weekly baseline pulse of what we're trying to do, and then how do we move the needle on that? So part of it is, again, we're a smaller business, and it's easy to just be like, this is easy and we'll just do it this way. And I know what we're asking for is different than a lot of other places, and we're trying to operate in a different, more efficient way is part of it for us, is because, membership growth has not been a really big thing. And so part of it for me is like, okay, if we measure it, it'll actually move. And we're not really measuring the way that we potentially could be. And so part of working with you originally, Connor, was like, okay, can you help us figure out how to do that? And doing it in a way that, again, isn't overextending your team and the price is right and all this stuff. Again, understanding that we're a smaller client right now, that we want to grow. What is being our fractional CFO, right, which I know is part of your business, the part of it that you really enjoy. How do we grow into that, right, with where we're at is kind of where I'm coming from. Yeah,
well, there's a term in accounting we call deferred revenue. And one of the ways you guys are currently capturing your revenue is on a cash basis. So when you have a new member, you're recognizing that income in that given month. But we know that revenue is really, that's, if it's an annual membership, right, that's 1/12 of the revenue is really being earned that month. So from a revenue standpoint, you guys have these kind of fluctuations in months that you guys get a bunch of renewals. So it can be kind of hard to know, okay, is our membership growing or is it shrinking?
Right.
Whereas if we had a deferred revenue method, which we could set up for you guys, you'd be able to tell that, right? So if your revenue number is going up, you would know, okay, our earned monthly revenue is actually more than it was last month. So that could be, from an intelligence standpoint, a really good next step.
Well, and that's interesting too, because a lot of people that we have brought on at this point are choosing the quarterly option, which is more revenue as long as they stay with us, right? Because it's more expensive than the annual. So when the number of members fluctuates, it might not actually be representing the revenue of that, right? Because, I mean, it changes. It's changed. And that's interesting. I don't know that.
Yeah, we'd have to run an analysis of like how many annual memberships we currently have. I think to your point, Connor, that's the other challenge that I'm very, very aware of. Our business has evolved and changed significantly in the last 6 months versus the last 12 months versus the last 18 months. And I'm sure at some level for the person doing the books is pulling hair out. I'm just
it's like, and
where does this go? This didn't exist before. This is a new thing. What the fuck is this?
Yeah. That the chart of accounts can, it's like, all right, we're adding a new line item, and then the profit and loss can just get pretty big. And I think when you're trying to like standardize things, simplify things, make things more efficient, it can create some complexities when you've got 100 different line items.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's where, so we've been working together for what, 4 months, 5 months now? 4 months. I think May was when we kind of went back.
Yep.
I think to me, it would make a lot of sense. I think it was very much kind of like, let's get caught up. Right. Mm-hmm. May was like, I don't even know the last person that we worked with when it was reconciled. There were some things that were off. We need to kind of make sure that's right. I think just even in this conversation, if there's probably like more of like a project basis from what we have now. There's probably some stuff that we need to invest in to like clean up the back end of how Wix is talking to QuickBooks and have it make sure that's more seamless. We've talked about that a few times, but like, what are the things that we can actually do to set this up? Yeah. And maybe that's more of an investment. It's like, it's going to take my team 10 hours.
Yeah.
Let's do that and not have it be like this extra thing. And then if we can get it set up to a place where even understanding like what's changed and what we need and part of this conversation, we're happy to figure that out and do that.
Yeah, no, right? I think that's a great step forward. And Christina, if you guys do have someone internal that you want to like manage more of the data entry piece, and then we can just kind of layer in on top as more of the strategic advisor, I think that would.
Yeah, it's possible. It's not necessarily what we hired her for, so I would want to talk to her a little bit more and see if that's something that she'd be interested in. Part of like Eric and I bringing on anyone has very much been about, yes, there are certain parts of the business that we need help, we need assistance, and at the same time I really want to help people, I guess, be working on things that they would be excited and passionate about. And so it would be interesting, and maybe it's just coming from the angle of, hey, like, we really want to help the people on our team continue to level up themselves and earn, whether it's bonuses or raises or whatever the thing is. And so being able to work on this project will actually help us get further along on that path for that person to eventually become full-time and that kind of thing. So I think it's just really part of the coaching that we recently got with Rudy too, with speaking with both of our intern and our new hire, is really helping each person understand like the why behind any project, whether it's data entry or it's I'm creatively building something brand new on Canva, whatever the thing might be, because the why is actually going to help me as a person working on something be motivated to work on that thing. Data entry for a lot of people, maybe it's really fucking boring, but if I know the why behind it and I know that this is going to have whatever X impact on the overall company, that's going to motivate me that much more to do that thing.
Well, I think it goes to everything that Christina just said, goes to our partners too, right? I know for you, like, yes, bookkeeping is what your company does, but that's the base from what I've gathered. And I'd love to have you talk about it a little bit here and shift this over to more about you. But your experience is more around being that CFO type role, the strategy and moving the needle for companies, right? So it would be like, yeah, if the bookkeeping stuff is, if we can take some of that back and have it be more strategic, if that makes sense, then let's do that for you.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, the work that I do can only be done if we've got the good data. Right. So it's the bookkeeping is very much crucial in anything that I do. So
yeah, let's go into your journey. I'd love to hear just how you got into Skyward. You've been doing it for what, 3 years? A little over
3 years. Skyward has been operating.
Back up. Tell us about your journey to get to Skyward.
I wonder how far back should we go?
As far as you want to go.
So where were you born? What was the hospital? Let's go through.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I grew up here in San Diego. Grew up in North County, Escondido, and that's where our main office is right now. I'm currently living downtown. Yeah, after high school, I joined the Coast Guard. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was a senior in high school. I didn't have really a lot of direction. So I did that. Those 4 years were great. Toward the end of my enlistment, I was sort of facing the decision of, okay, do I extend and make this a long-term career? Or do I believe in myself and think I'm going to be able to maybe make something more of myself? Because the military is fantastic, but I always felt that there was a ceiling there. You're always kind of reporting to someone else that might not necessarily be someone who's a great leader. I mean, a lot of times they were, but sometimes they might just have more time in. And, that was always something that was frustrating to me. So I did decide to get out. I went to junior college at Palomar. I'm a huge advocate for junior colleges. I think for anybody who's still unsure of what path they want to go work toward, I think a junior college is great just to kind of take your basic classes. I mean, you can do it.
Junior college and community college.
Community college,
are they
junior
interchangeable?
college, same thing. Yeah, and so I paid out of pocket doing that, and super affordable. I got my my general studies done there, and then I used my GI Bill to go to University of San Diego. So there studied finance with a minor in marketing, and then during that time I had started working at a management consulting firm as an intern in the background. We called it the production department. And that's where I understudied under a guy who is, an Excel master. He was automating all the financial reports for the firm. So I had an opportunity to really, fall in love with Excel and really start to get exposed to that. So I would say I'm a data person before I'm an accountant.
Sure.
And I think with where the world's kind of shifting, I think that's a good thing to be, because we're really at Skyward now. We're trying to more leverage, automation, clean data, clean process to provide our clients with better numbers. So after USD, I went and worked full time for that management consulting firm. I had an amazing mentor, Ryan Satoff, who you both know.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's still a huge part of my life. We're working on a couple things together right now. But throughout the 4 or 5 years that I was working there, that organization had shifted. He sort of was trying to transition himself out of the business. And throughout that, there was the opportunity to become a partner of that firm. And when I looked at the whole picture, and I just didn't feel like it was the right fit for me. Right?
So you had partner on the table of company that you currently were working with, and then you had Skyward, go start my own thing and do Skyward.
Yeah, and so I felt like the group of people who were also going to become partners and myself, there were just a different mentality in the work and with certain things. And so, ultimately I stayed on working for them as a contractor. I denied the partnership. And I think just throughout that it created a little bit of friction. So ultimately I ended up leaving. That's one way to put it. But throughout that process, I still maintained a really good relationship with Ryan, who continues to be a mentor and a good partner for me. But left with one client. I was hardly paying the bills. I moved into a 20-foot trailer that I lived in for over 2 years when I started building out this company. So throughout that time,
20-foot trailer?
It's a 23-foot Jayco trailer, right?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, not a lot of people know that, because when I was taking calls with clients, I was on sales calls. I had a virtual background, so I could have been anywhere. But that was a pretty big sacrifice. I remember at the time, a lot of people that knew about it, whether it was friends, family, or some business people that knew, they kind of looked at me like, oh, what a joke, like this, If anything, that was just created a hunger in me. And I've always been had the mentality of the underdog, like, and it just fired me up. And yeah, so first year, I started with one client. I had $3,000 a month in revenue. By the end of that year, I was hiring my first employee.
Wow.
Stayed in the trailer, stayed hungry, stayed humble.
Yeah.
The next year, well, actually, no, the first year I was by myself the whole year. And then it was the second year I brought on my first employee. Okay. And then, now this third year, I mean, we are 4 employees, scaled. We're building the organization in a way that it's going to be profitable. We're really leveraging like just really good automation, operational efficiencies, and just setting good boundaries with clients to make sure that I don't have to move back into a trailer.
Yeah.
But and it's, I feel super blessed. There were a lot of people in that time that sort of like laughed at me. Oh man, this guy's living in this trailer. But there were also a lot of people who believed in me and supported me through that. And I owe everything to like the community. So
yeah, I mean, so much of, I would love if you're open to sharing just like that first year. So obviously the trailer piece is part of it. That's for entrepreneurs. We're in year 3.5, going on 4. And the lows are fucking low, right? And so I don't know if there's a specific memory you have about the first year, about how tough that was for you.
Tried dating and saying that you're
come back to my
place.
I'm a business owner. Come back to my trailer.
I'm a business owner and I live in a trailer, right? Yeah, there's just I mean, I had family members that would judge me. I had friends that would judge me, and because I was always kind of like the butt of the joke. But one thing that didn't change was I always had a very strong belief in myself. That's not something I always had. That was something that was given to me from prior mentors. And I try to do that now with people. And I think as any leader, you'll see people and you'll see greatness in people, but they don't see it in themselves. And so it's like, how can I get them to believe in themselves, right? And I feel like I do that all the time, whether it's with my friends, whether it's with, family members or anybody. But I think everyone has that potential, and they usually just can't see it in themselves because everyone has self-doubt. They have negative talk. To think that I don't still have that would be a lie. Like, we all still go through our highs and lows. But I think I'm at a point now where I could lose everything that I've built and I'd be able to build it back up.
What does that feel like?
It feels amazing. Yeah, I feel blessed, right? And it's this mindset. You want to like scream it from the mountaintops, and you want to shift it in people, but it doesn't work like that, right? You have to, it's little baby steps. Okay, give them something that they can fail at for a while, but then they'll succeed. And then once they have that first success, you celebrate that success. That might be 1% of the way that they need to get to unlock that full potential. And
I want to go back to, you mentioned the friction and still having a really good relationship with Ryan. So how did you move past that part of it and get back to having this really healthy relationship that you still consider him to be a really great mentor?
Well, more than that, you guys work together. You have multiple partners, partnership deals, or there's some sort of fluid working together relationship, it sounds like. Yeah,
for the last 4 years, we've been doing these business accelerator cohorts where there's a group of 10 to 12 small businesses, emerging entrepreneurs, people who have a business idea. And we'll give presentations, and we're going through one right now where I get on one-on-one calls with these people. I build a financial model for them in real time, ask them about their business, figure out all like the working pieces. And by the end, they have a spreadsheet that they can plug numbers into and see a whole projection, pro forma, P&L. So that's been one way we've been able to continue our work together. But I think ultimately, like, one thing I really respect about him is, despite me leaving and ultimately taking money out of his pocket, he's happy for me. I stole the general manager of, not stole, I mean, she left for another company, but the general manager of the prior company now works for me. And he's happy for both of us. He sees what we're building, and I think he probably feels more aligned with what we're building than where his prior firm is heading.
Got it.
So,
well, he also wanted out. right? He was part of him, like you taking this partnership role, if I'm understanding correctly, is he had one foot out the door of this could be something that you take over, but
Correct.
It's different than him still being full-time in the thing and being direct competitors.
Correct.
Right, which I would imagine is a really big component of how the relationship kind of stayed intact.
Yeah, that, and I've always tried to help him out when I can. Like, we're always on more the cutting edge with technology and reporting now, so we help him out with some things that he just doesn't have the bandwidth or the resources to do. So I think just always keeping the doors open for those opportunities and recognizing at the end of the day, we both have the same value of let's do what's best for the client. And if that's to partner with us, that's what's going to happen. And so we've been able to continue our relationship and continue to do work. And through like these programs, we both have a passion for helping smaller businesses. When we're both doing that, we're super happy, lighting up. I really do feel blessed to still have that relationship, and all my mentors I still try to keep open communication with and try to help them out how I can, because it's really just paying back what they've done for me.
Yeah, so I mean, time is valuable, right? And
absolutely.
Have someone invest any amount of time,
absolutely,
in a way that's even impactful in the slightest is I want to share that. I want to pass that on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to moving out of the trailer. Do you remember like the moment where like, all right, I'm done with this?
I probably stayed in it a little longer than I needed to. Like, Skyward has been in a really good place, but part of me also, like, I am a minimalist. I like the idea of being able to just get up and do something and not feel like tethered down to anything. A rolling stone gathers no moss, Confucius say. Yeah, I think there wasn't really any pivotal moment where it was like, oh yes, this feels great, like success, because I think I was feeling success in the trailer.
Sure.
The possessions or the flashiness didn't really matter anything to me. I think the difference really came from within. Like, once I had built something that was profitable, I see the growth continuing to happen. It more just made me realize, oh yeah, I could go get some like luxury living space, but is that really going to bring me happiness? I'm the kind of person that I don't want to have a huge amount of debt or anything. I always like to stay under leverage in that way. Like, I've never bought a new car. Like Lexus, I bought used. I've been very conscious in that way. So,
can I ask kind of a provocative question?
Sure.
And you don't have to say how much it is, but what's the item that you own that's the most expensive? I'm curious.
That's a good question. Honestly, probably my work laptop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember when this came up recently with us. I think it was when we were talking about like our trust and we were building that out, and we were just like, what are all the valuables that we have? And we're like, yeah, maybe like your laptop.
Well, I guess it would
100%
be my car. I guess it would be my car. My car is more expensive than my laptop, but
I don't know if
outside of
no, I don't. Your car,
yeah.
I don't think
it's probably worth a couple grand at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
2011 Kia Optima. That's on its second engine.
Oh,
so,
on a second
it's the
engine,
laptop for sure.
Yeah. It was just a really funny thing for us, because I think we're the same way. We're very minimalist. I've moved so many times in my life that I've literally had to put all my things into what can fit into my tiny car and move to the next place. And so what I keep are things that emotionally, and they're things that I've had for a long time, whatever. And it's usually not anything crazy valuable. So I just really appreciate that. And I think there's people who they really value the moments and the people that they're with and the experiences that they have. And that's what they really spend their investments in.
Well, I love how you said I can afford a luxury apartment or a luxury place to stay in. That's freedom. Whether you do or not is just personal preference. And if you need to show it off to someone or it needs to fill a hole, and that's what happens to so many people. I just need to keep chasing the thing that's trying to, and it sounds like having this minimalist like mindset for you has been really grounding as a place to start and build off of. It's like, well, yeah, I can go move downtown for a little bit and see how I like it, and maybe I'll stay.
Yeah, it's like I'm not tethered to something. And this is not any knock to people who invest in property and they invest in having a really beautiful home or anything like that. I think I come from that mindset of, I don't really want so much of me to be tied into this thing that I own that, okay, we live in California, a fire can break out at any moment. What if it's all gone in an instant? So it's interesting just what people hold really dear and how people operate as far as what they invest in. And
I was listening to something recently that I think would be interesting to share for you, just based on what you said, Connor. So he basically would write down, he is older in his life, 50s, 60s, who it is isn't important. But he basically was like, I got to this place where instead of chasing the things and making these goals and these lists, what I started doing is making a list of the things that I know are going to happen, getting rid of the attachment. So what he would do is he'd write down the obscure, the crazy things, and then he would just cross it off. And what he was crossing off was the attachment to getting the thing. So when he actually got it, there was no like, this is going to make me different in any way, shape, or form. It's like, I've already crossed off my attachment to it. I've already accepted that it's coming. I've already gone through that process. And so when there's no specific attachment tied to having this thing, which I thought was really interesting.
So are you saying like making my first million as an example, and it's okay, I'm going to cross that off so that when it happens, I don't feel
now I'm supposed to be somewhere because I did the thing.
Got it. Okay.
Right? That's what, when I say attachment, it's this is going to fulfill me in a new, different way. There could be like really grand, big things like, first million, buy a new car, a new house, all this stuff is like, well, I should feel because I have the thing.
That happens for so many people, right? It's this sense of security. If we tie it back to just money, for an example, is, like my relationship with money is very much about security, which it is for most people. But, if I have this much in the bank, I'm going to feel like I'm good, I'm solid, I feel safe now. And for so many that I've heard who get to that point, they're like, yeah, it did not change the way that I feel. I did not have this, oh my God, I'm good, I'm set for life moment. Nothing changed. And so, that's really interesting.
It sounds like there's a version of that you kind of already have figured out for you. This is the reason I share that.
Yeah, I think I had a unique childhood where I don't want to go too much into detail, but our family was very wealthy up to 2001 .com bubble. Sure. And then so I got to see sort of the life and the people who live in those huge houses, and then I moved, we still very much moved to a nice place in Escondido, lived much better than most people, but it was still like a substantial shift down to where our family was. So I got to see that aspect, and also I liked that life a lot more. I feel like the relationships I built in that community were a lot stronger, the friendships I had, versus if...
That being after the 2001.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, just like the quality of relationships I had, like I still have a lot of those friends to today. Like we just have, fantastic friendships. And then, it just made me realize that you can get to that huge $3-4 million house, but still be sad. There's money's not going to make you happy. It's really, I think, more down to like the relationships, the experiences. I mean, how many times have you thought like, I really want this thing, this is going to be awesome, and then you get the thing, the feeling that you get from it, it's gone so quickly, and then it's like, okay, now you're on to chasing the next thing. Right. So I feel like at a pretty early point in my life, I was able to see that, hence me going and living in a trailer. I didn't care really what that meant, what other people thought of me. Like always in the back of my head, I knew that wasn't my value isn't where I am living. It's not like what my possessions are.
Yeah. And so, I mean, for so many people, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
I do think that money can have a really big influence on happiness, but it has a cap. There's plenty of people who are living below the poverty line, and if we had everyone get to a certain point where they feel secure enough and they have opportunities and they can start a business or whatever the thing is for that person and what they desire. And then there is a cap. There's definitely a threshold where above that, it's just more money and more problems. Because there's so many other things that come with having an absurd, just a lot of money.
Yeah, the number is 80,000 probably plus inflation.
I would agree with that. I think, yeah.
It's not that it doesn't, like, more money doesn't provide more happiness, but it's incremental. Once I reach 80,000, the amount of happiness that I get from more is so small.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, I mean, because so I grew up very different from you, Connor. So it was just like my mom and I, and yeah, we were at one point on food stamps and all of that, just opposite ends of the spectrum. And yeah, certainly the stress that my mom went through, like I felt that, even though it was just the two of us. And there's plenty of that. So I think there's certainly a point in time or a point in my financials where if I have this, I feel safety. And I think once people can feel that safety, then I can truly be present and live my life and not constantly be thinking about my next bill and where am I going to get food for my kids or whatever. There's all kinds of things and reasons. So it's interesting, the money conversation. I was just listening to a podcast earlier this morning, and I don't know if the Powerball is still not being selected, but they were just talking about the lottery, and it's over $1 billion right now, which is insanity.
Are you a lottery player?
I'll buy a ticket just to think about it. Think about
what you would do with it.
But I haven't done it in years. When we were in the Coast Guard, our whole office at a place I would get tickets.
Yeah.
And it was just fun for the day to be like, oh, if we win, it's just
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't play.
The lottery is one of the most interesting things in the world to me, because almost every person that wins the lottery goes broke in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's such a perfect example of money doesn't fix it.
Well,
but everyone's like, yeah,
I think it's
when I win it, it's going to be different.
Actually, yeah, exactly what you just said. I think it's education. Because if I would have won the lottery 10 years ago, I wouldn't know the first thing to do. At this point, I would immediately, I'm like, okay, I need an attorney. I'm getting all the professionals lined up to make sure that I'm not, I'm set up in a way that it's going to be successful. I'm not going to run out of it. I'm going to have my financial advisor. I'm setting myself up with people. But would I have done that before coming into 6 Degrees and knowing so many people that I now have so much trust in that I could be like, hey, so I trust you so much that I can tell you that I won the lottery and I don't want people to know, right? I have those relationships now, and I didn't have that before. And so most people who win the lottery, they don't have any education about what to do with that money once they receive it. And then they just spend everything. They buy a bunch of fancy toys.
Yeah, you see it with professional athletes a lot of times too.
Yeah.
Well, just coming into a giant chunk of money all at once, and it's taxes, so 30%'s gone out the window, and people don't realize that.
Right.
$1 billion, if you're talking $1 billion, that's a good chunk of money.
Yeah, if half of that was gone for taxes and all the other things, I'm like, cool, I still have $500 million.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, that is crazy to think about blowing through $500 million.
I don't even know how I could possibly, where am I spending that? How could I run through all that money?
As someone that's a minimalist, what's the one thing that you would invest in, or that you would make, that you're like, I would want if I had
the fun one?
Yeah, the fun one.
What's the fun thing?
Man, I think one day, and they say this is a horrible investment. They'll say the best day is the day you buy it and the day you sell it, but I'd probably get a boat or something.
Yeah.
Not anything crazy, but the freedom that you could have with that, of going out, and plus being a prior coastie, there's a little bit of a
being on the water.
Being on the water. So
like a yacht kind of thing, or
I mean, you would maybe call it a yacht, but it'd be maybe a 40-something foot boat. I wouldn't get anything extravagant, because just I think of the maintenance costs and the headache to have to manage those things.
That's the bookkeeper in you.
Yeah. Well, it's 10% of its value every year if it's in the salt water, as they say. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm already, I've got a whole spreadsheet. I'm thinking, but no, I think that would be something cool. And then, I think at some point I will start to invest in real estate. But right now, like, I don't know if I'd invest in it as a personal dwelling. I kind of like the idea of being able to pick up and go at any time. Yeah, it might be cool though to have like a couple different properties in different places that, you know, maybe you rent out when you're not there. So
yeah,
that might be something.
What would be your thing, Eric?
Of just if I had all the money.
If you won this big lottery.
If I won $1 billion.
You buy a sports team.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that as an option. Yeah. Ooh.
That's a tough job.
Yeah,
I don't know that I would want like the Mark Cuban, Steve Ballmer, right? Everything that's going on with him. I don't know that I would want that. Do you have yours?
Well, I feel like everything I've thought of so far, they're so like small on the scale of I have all this money and I'm thinking about, well, I would have a whole 5-star first class trip to wherever. And I'm like, cool, that's only how many thousand? Like it wouldn't even make a dent.
Probably an island. I would probably try to figure out how to buy an island.
That's fucking cool.
We could be neighbors with Mark Zuckerberg.
Island neighbors.
It would be, yeah. I think an island would be, and I don't think an island is. We're not cutting into a huge part of a
no,
billion.
I mean I've seen islands go for a couple mil.
Really? I'm not really sure about that market.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, it's.
I think it depends on the island. There's just one that. It was on Beast Games, which is ridiculous, but I watched all of it. And there was an island that was gifted. It was won as a prize, and it was this value is 1.2 million or something. I don't know, which is crazy.
Which is house. That's like the
low
end of a house
here. How is that even? I don't understand how that's even possible. But that island probably doesn't have running water it doesn't have.
It's just a piece of land.
It's just a piece of land, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of investment to get that thing.
Yeah. Right, but so if it's a $1.2 million island and you got $1 billion, they can build the infrastructure. An island would be cool.
I think I'd want to do like a suite at the Super Bowl or something. I would definitely do something at the Super Bowl, especially if the Chiefs are in it.
They're never going back.
Stop. Don't say those things.
They're done.
All right.
It's
a fun conversation. I mean, I don't think I've ever purchased a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I did feel the same way of like, no, that's too small. Think bigger, dream bigger.
Yeah.
Like that's my initial reaction.
Yeah. I guess that with that amount of money, I mean, I'd probably have people coming to you with things.
And that's the thing is I feel like so much of what I would do with it is give it away for one, certain charities, and then two, I think, and that's the part of bringing in the right people and hiring the right people that I trust that aren't going to tell I wouldn't want anyone to know that I've won that. Granted, it might start to become a little obvious once I'm just like, hey, you and my 10 besties, I'm taking you all on a trip, all expenses paid. That's the type of shit that I would do. Is I would just take all of my friends on vacations and go do really cool things and just cover the whole thing. Like that's what I would do with that.
I try to do it when I'm broke.
You do try. Yes, you do. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, with that amount of money, you could make a huge difference in the world too. Even just to become like a seed investor in businesses that you think might be able to make like a social impact or things like that, and you could even make a return on that money, but at the same time do an amazing thing. So
right.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
be an investor.
All that investing at that point is just we're just playing poker, right? I'm just gambling. I'm just like, this one sounds good, and 1 out of 10 will hit.
Yeah, I mean, finding people who you see greatness in.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I don't know how we got there, but
I brought it up.
It's a fun one for sure.
So for you with Skyward at this point, what are you most proud of as someone that's building a company?
I'm most proud of. That's a good question. There's a lot of things I'm proud of. I think I'm most proud of the way as a team we show up in the world and like starting to see our reputation grow, like the impact that we're able to make for our clients and the community. I think so many businesses, especially in like the small to mid-sized space, they don't have access to good information, good numbers, good strategy. there's a lot of service providers and softwares out there that they're promising the world, hey, this is going to solve your problem. But at the end of the day, like, unless they have someone on their team like that's able to properly implement those things, it's just wasted cost.
Sure.
So I think really getting to go into these organizations that like hardworking blue collar people, or even white collar in some cases, and they're just like super passionate about what they're doing, but they're missing out on so much opportunity because they're not equipped with good information or good system, good process. So getting to like go into a business that doesn't have that, provide them with it, and then all of a sudden you see the growth in them as business owners and managers, where all of a sudden like they're asking questions, they're asking like, oh, how can we do this? So there's a switch that changes in them, and I'm like, okay, what we're doing is working, like this work matters. And then, you know, all of a sudden they're going from taking like super predatory loans to actually being able to go to a bank and get a decent interest rate. That's huge. And then ultimately, like, their businesses grow, they make more money, they can hire more people, they can give their people raises. And yeah, so just being able to make an impact in that way is huge. And I think as people, we just want to provide a service. I've always just wanted to like be of service. Now that I've found something and I've got a fantastic team, that they're on the same wavelength with that, of just providing a great service for our clients. And yeah, I'd say that's probably what I'm most proud of, is just getting to see the growth in our clients, seeing those trailing 12 reports for people like with those upward trends. It's a great feeling.
Which, I don't even know if, Christina, if you've seen those reports, but those are super helpful. And just even the dashboard that you've built for us, right? That's been working. I mean, working with you, I can, from the 4 months that it's been, I can tell the passion that you have for what you do and the commitment, the dedication to like, we're going to get it right. I've seen that. And I think just to tie this full circle is like, I want 6 Degrees to be the company of, we started here and they're all the way over here now. Mm-hmm. And you to be part of that ride, and for us to be a case study for you. That would be an amazing thing to be, I think, for both of us, right? To kind of see, especially as someone that's involved in what we're doing and the growth that we want to have. So I appreciate I love the team aspect of what you're building has been the most important part.
I love this organization, and I don't know how much time we have, but I think it's pretty funny how originally we got connected. You guys were my competitor back in the day. So.
I mean, yes, and that's part of, it's been interesting in this space of, well, quote unquote, a networking organization, which we've very much steered the ship away from, to be more about connection and intentionality. And I was really thankful for you all, like when you were at Spire and welcomed us into that environment with open arms, knowing that, yes, we just bought an organization that is quote unquote a competitor, and look at how different organizations can be and how each one has their strengths and how we can learn from each other. And I mean, there's millions of people who live in San Diego, and I think each of these types of organizations are just trying to have a couple hundred. I mean, some of the very large ones are a little bit bigger than that. And then being able to work collaboratively instead of against each other in the same type of industry, which is so much about who we are really excited to bring into even the 6 Degrees community, is not someone who looks at the room and goes, oh, but there's already this many people in my industry and I have to compete with them. It's like, what if you looked at that as an opportunity to learn from them and actually collaborate and understand when you might be a better fit than us, and understand when to send someone, a different direction, because it's going to come back around, and it's going to be back to, like you said, the reputation that you've been building with Skyward and how important that is. And I feel like that's one of the best things that Eric and I have been doing over these past 3 years, is just really building out our reputation and showing people like, this is who we are and this is how we're going to show up, and we're going to be consistent.
Yeah. Blue ocean strategy.
I've read the
is
book.
The way to go.
I've read the book. Remind me.
It's just, I mean, there's either a blue ocean or a red ocean. Red ocean is there's blood in the water. You're all fighting for the same thing. I think that's how it goes. I didn't read the book. I just, but
I read it a while back.
Yeah.
It's been-
I had
it's been
a coffee with a competing firm owner a couple weeks ago, and it was such a great conversation because, like, ultimately we do a lot of the same work, but there are differences. But just getting to talk about different things going on in the industry, challenges they're having, opportunities that are out there. I felt like we both left that conversation like better off than if we just had our guards up and didn't try to do that. And yeah, when I was running Spire, like it was very much a part-time job for me running that networking group. And I saw what you guys were doing at Six Connections, and I really thought like, wow, I knew you guys were the real deal. I went to one of your events. I think after that event, I was just, okay. I already mentally was like, all right, I just want to focus on like doing the accounting and finance. Like I'm done trying to run this networking group. Not that I felt that I was competing with you, but yeah, I just felt here are two people who are 100% focused. This is their life and their mission. And I'm trying to do this thing, a couple extra hours that I have at the end of the week. Yeah, I hope that whole transition did help you guys grow your community. And yeah, I've been super glad since I've come on, I think, over a year now.
Just about a year.
Yeah.
And I loved how just full circle, because yeah, it was 3 years ago or whatever it was, you went off and started Skyward, and then it took a couple of years for you to get out of the trailer and back out into the world and do more things. Because I remember when we first met, I was like, I like Connor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had the woodworking thing going.
Yeah.
And I was like, who did that? You're like, I did.
Yeah. No, I haven't done much woodworking as of late. I'm trying to do more networking instead. But
more networking, less woodworking.
Yeah, but no, that's a passion that I think, yeah, one day when I'm older, I'll get back into.
That's cool.
Yeah, you can only fill so many glasses, right? As the analogy of like, you only have so many things you can do. And yeah, the last couple of years it's been a lot of effort going into Skyward.
Well, so before we kind of close this, I do have one specific question around time, and just so you're one of the few people that we know that is really leaning into AI to optimize and to build a team really for the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be profitable and have the right people. And that's something that Christina and I we're tinkering with, of like, okay, how does this apply to us? And how do we, as we're kind of just bringing some part-time people on right now, how do we figure out the AI piece? So I'd love to just hear what your journey has been of figuring out how to fit AI and stay up to date with the latest, whatever that looks like for you and your company in the bookkeeping world, which I know a lot of people in the accounting bookkeeping world are like, yeah, not me. Like my job's not going anywhere. And
yeah, that's a great question. So we as a team have a meeting every 2 weeks. We call it like our AI R&D meeting. And the first portion of the meeting is it's like, all right, well, how have you used AI to help with your work, right? So we're always like knowledge sharing, because there are so many tools out there, but it's really just finding like the right use cases for it, because the tools are there. They all function pretty similarly. How do we actually use them in our day-to-day to make our work faster and more efficient? So that's been huge. And then, also just letting the team know, if you have extra time, like spend an hour a day researching, because ultimately, if we can become more efficient with our work, and if each of our people, they can manage more workload, like that's going to reflect directly into how much money they're able to make. So instead of it being, oh, AI is going to take my job, it's, oh, AI is going to help me make more money, right? Mm-hmm. I guess that's one way. And then from a actual operational example, like, so for those receipts that you have for your Savor dinners, wanting to see it broken up by drinks and, food and all that. Well, yeah, you could go through each thing and be like, okay, a mojito, that's an alcoholic beverage. Okay, like this is an alcoholic beverage. If you put that thing in an AI and say, hey, break this out by food and by drink and by tax, by service fee, it'll do it more accurately than a human will. And really, the net amount is really all that matters. The only thing we're really trying to capture is the allocation. So for your perspective, you want to see that broken out. Right. But you could see from our end, like, oh man, that's an extra, the old way of doing things, that would be an extra 10 minutes for somebody. And then maybe they're at the end, they get to the bottom and there's a $20 variance, and then they got to figure out where that $20 variance is. The AI does it in 10, 20 seconds.
Sure.
Not even, right? So just finding little areas like that and just kind of always keeping it in the back of our heads. Oh, we have this little helper. And so as long as the information that we're like putting in there doesn't have PII and things like that, because we also want to be very sensitive about what information we're feeding into those tools. You can scrub certain things so that the identifiable stuff isn't on there, but still leverage the technology. So yeah, we have like a whole SOP written internally for like use of AI and things like that.
Here's what to use it for, and here's
here's how to use it. Here's what not to do, because we are working with sensitive information sometimes. We want to be conscious of how we're using it.
Yeah. Is part of how you got to that point utilizing, were you tracking time on tasks that were taking a while? Because as you were talking, part of it would be like, if I have a team, where's my team's time going? And is there an opportunity? Okay, this chunk of time is being used here. Mm-hmm. What if we use AI, and how much does that change? How do you figure out where to use it other than saying, hey, take an hour and kind of play around? Yeah,
well, so, I mean, it really goes beyond just AI, too. But so we do...
I would say any
tool,
any technology.
For certain things, Our reporting, like you've seen some of the advancements we've made in our reporting. Been working with some new like data sync tools that have allowed us to automate a lot of really awesome reports for people. And then back in the old day, you would have to recreate this report every single month, and each additional complexity that you would add to the report would add more work to it. So now we're able to create these reports, add additional reports to them, and really minimize what it takes to like refresh them every single month. So that would be one example. I mean, there's so many deliverables that we're required to do for some of our clients. Weekly cash flow reports for some of our bigger clients. And I see other firms out there, I mean, especially if they bill by the hour, there's really no incentive for them to make that a faster process.
Right.
Because for their staff, it's all right, you need to hit 40 hours of billable hours this week, because that's what you're expected to do, right? They have a utilization rate metric that they need to hit. So they're just trying to do that, where it's with my team, it's, okay, how can we be more efficient with this work? How can we allow you to do 40 hours of work in 20 hours? So then maybe you can take half the week off and you still have the same output, or you do more work and we're able to compensate you for that extra. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting perspective of, especially so accounting, lawyers, anyone that's hourly, there's actually not really an incentive to want to do it faster, better, more efficient, because I get paid less. Yeah. It's actually hurting my paycheck if it's set up that way.
Yeah. They're not thinking skyward.
Exactly. Well, I mean, even just we had the stretch earlier today, and it was an attorney who was talking about, no, I do a flat rate instead of doing the hourly. And I mean, how amazing could it be if we only work the 20-hour work week instead of 40 hours, but we're getting the job done of 40, and so I'm being paid based on how much work is being completed. I think that this hourly thing that happened so many years ago, it's really hurt our civilization more than it's helped. I think that we can be way more efficient with our time when we're in the zone and when we're really working hard, and then great, now let me take plenty of time off to reset and go to, I wanted to say Cabo, but it wasn't Cabo. You went to Cancun. Yeah. Go to Cancun and like actually unplug and have that time for myself, right? And I think AI can be the solution for that. We can start to shift it into not being so hung up on, no, you have to be here for 40 hours or else you're not getting paid. It's like, why?
Well, it's just, I think what I heard you say is I found the use cases. So AI is great. How do we use it, and how do we do something with it specifically to make it more efficient, right? And then taking that and scaling that within your team is the interesting part.
Yeah, it really comes down to developing the mindset in people so that they're always looking every day, like, how could we improve of what we did yesterday?
Well, that's where, if that's the culture of our organization, is like we try to find a way to get better at AI. I mean, Google had, what was it, use 10% of your time or 20% of your time to just build something, right? And that was part of the company and part of moving the technology forward.
You were looking at connecting with an AI expert at some point. Are you still searching for that person to talk to?
I'm interested in it. Do you
Okay.
you have a,
I have somebody.
is it the same one you have that event coming up, or is that
I have a
someone
new
different?
person that I just talked to recently. So I'll
Yeah,
make that intro.
I'm always open and interested
Yeah.
in those conversations.
Yeah.
It's such
Yeah.
a new space, so I feel like there's just so much information out there, constantly changing. It'd be interesting to have someone who's purely focused on that.
Well, and I think even from my understanding, or at least talking to people, there's people who are even taking a different approach to this AI conversation anyway. It's just like any other business. We're going to operate differently. We're going to treat it differently. We're going to talk about it differently. I think just talking to more people or having different perspectives might be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's changing so fast. That's the hard part for me. Okay, there's all these different tools. There's Claude, there's ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
They're all racing each other. So which
Yeah.
one's the right horse to bet on? Which systems do I build around Gemini, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's part of it. Is I think that's where the use case piece comes in more. Like, okay, how do we have it just do this one thing for this task?
Yeah, it's interesting to see like these AI tools, because I feel like one week will be like fantastic, and then you'll try something again the next week, and it's like, did you just make this program stupid, like on purpose? You know,
Literally.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah. Well, I think we're in like a really interesting time where they haven't quite monetized and controlled it. The amount of work and information that you can get from these things is amazing. My fear is as soon as they maybe consolidate, it doesn't become as competitive as a landscape. There's just going to be a couple players, and they try to monetize, and at the end of the day, it's not going to be the people who benefit off these things. It's going to be these large companies. So
yeah, 100%. Ugh.
Yeah, it'll be. I could definitely see that happening, of just them all kind of being under a monopoly type thing happening.
Yeah.
But I think, who was it? I think it was Sam Altman who used the analogy of the technology behind a screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the coil or processor or something. Nobody knows the company that makes the thing that makes all of our screens and all of this stuff works. He saw it as it's more comparable to that technology where there is no price to it. It's built in. It's just part of the ecosystem, which I thought was really interesting as someone that's building the thing that's probably the most furthest along. But he just saw it as like, I see this so fundamental. You're not going to care what brand the TV's whatever thing is. And I have to look up exactly what the piece is, but it was like it's literally in all technology.
Yeah.
But we don't think about it. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
You are our first guest that we are a client of, that we've had on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciated how the conversation went and how we even started. And I think it just really gives the listener a insight to like what it is like to work with Connor and Skyward and your team, and just how much you really care for your clients and the people that you really want to see succeed, right? That was, to me, better than just asking you about your business, which obviously we touched on too. And these conversations sometimes never even touch on business, but I really liked that we were able to dive into the experience of working with you and be the example on the mic.
I agree. I had a good time talking about it, and thank you, Eric, for the email this morning.
I didn't know I was teeing that up for us.
Yeah, well, things happen for a reason.
Yeah. So the two things I'll say to that is, one is, I think even as I'm thinking about that conversation, it's impossible for us to work with all of our members, right? Especially with certain things. And I think for you and Skyward, there's such alignment around values and the way that you're trying to grow your business. And I think, again, after working with a couple different bookkeepers, and I told you in the beginning, I was like, I'm not difficult. I don't think I'm difficult. I don't think what I'm asking for is crazy. But just so you know, you're the third bookkeeper that we've had in 3 years. That says something about me and being the common denominator. And maybe it's not clarity or whatever. The second thing I'll say is, I really appreciate my goal with, again, my intention was, hey, we said one thing. It's different than what we said. My goal is to work. Let's figure out how do we make it work. I want to continue to work with you and work with Skyward. That's my goal. So however we offline figure out what we need to do on that, let's figure it out. So
very good.
Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been a good time. A lot less nerve-wracking than I originally thought.
Oh, good.
Being on my first podcast. So
Yay.
thank you.
Well, as a reinforcement, has energy level shifted for anyone? And if it has, where has it gone? Is it higher? Is it lower?
I would say it's just from the number standpoint, it's probably about the same. And I think the type of energy of just not eggshells, but like there's a little bit of a moose in the room. There's a little bit of I don't know how Connor feels about this email that I sent. And it was good to hear. So it just from that, the way it started, of just like, all right, we're going to work through something that's a little bit sticky.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, I feel a little bit more relaxed, a little less tense.
I would agree. I think coming in, my energy was high, but it was high in like a, oh, all right, what are we doing here? And then it calmed down, and it's still a high level of energy, and it's more centered, it's more grounded, it's more even.
I would agree with what you said, Eric. Not that I was worried about the conversation, because I know you and I know we're capable of working through these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel good. Probably energy level about the same. Not looking at my phone for a couple hours. That feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. On do not disturb. So.
Yeah, I would say that part of just being in this room is the special part of this, right? Of kind of what we're doing. We've had people be like, it's kind of long to listen to. It's like, yeah, but having this time with you for us is just, I get so much out of it, and just to hear your story a little bit more. So thank you for being open and sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
hope somebody makes it this far.
Oh yeah, we have people that do.
We have people that do.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So awesome.
Sweet,
well, thank
man.
you.
Yeah,
This
thank
was
you.
Wonderful.
Appreciate you.
All right, so for the deep dive.
Yeah. What did you want to deep dive?
What did I want to deep dive? Let's see. First, I do want to clarify. It was brought up a couple times. The length of Connor's email. It wasn't that long of an email, I think. And I just when I heard it back, it sounded like, oh my God, this really long email. And you and I almost were overstating that it wasn't that long, or I just want it to be known that it was a perfectly fine email.
Sure,
I think
it was very thorough.
I think, well, sure, thorough. It just laid out like, here's the 4 options, and here's a couple sentences on each one. Where I came into the picture, we were literally like 3 minutes away from arriving at mic drop, and you handed me your phone.
Sure.
And of course, on a phone, it's going to seem even longer when it's not, and especially on your tiny ass phone. And
Hey,
so I think I just want to, it wasn't that long. I didn't know what I was reading whenever you handed me your phone, so I was confused. That's really all that happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, just part of listening back to this was, I think there's a time and a place for email communication, right? And I think everything he said was really important and helpful to be able to digest. And I'm sure I've had this experience of, let me just type it out. I'm not going to hit send, but let me clear my thoughts and get to the bullets of what I want to say. And I notice when it starts turning into like paragraphs of like, okay, this isn't a phone call. Like, what's the 3 bullet version of this? Send that. And then follow up and have a conversation.
Yeah, you basically said that exact same thing on the episode with Connor, right? It was like, this is kind of my process. If that's where I'm getting to via email, it's hold on, this is too long for an email. Let's just have the conversation, right? Because at that point, and especially I think even long emails in general, I look at that and I'm like, this is what are we doing?
Yeah, like I sent one recently and it was a little bit longer. When I send long emails, I really, really am thinking through everything, and I'm sure that was the same for him, right?
Yeah.
And the other part of it was, I didn't know that he was our guest that day. Like that was kind of like the oh shit, we could have just talked about this, and his like tongue in cheek of like, or we can talk about it on the podcast later. I was like, shit. That's you're the person that we're talking to today. I didn't get that far in the day.
I didn't look ahead.
Egg on my face a little bit with that one, because that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was just a really nice example, I think, for the listeners to just hear how relationships can be with clients, and And when it is a partnership and there's communication and we're honest about setting our boundaries, we're honest about this is setting boundaries and expectations, right? And an understanding that if all of that said means that this isn't going to work, then like no harm, no foul. Like that's great. We understand that we're not the best fit or whatever the case might be. And so it was really fun to just listen back to that and hear how we worked through it.
Well, I think something we talk a lot about is from Rudy is the strategic versus intimate, right? So, or intimate versus strategic. So part of my hope with even bringing up something that was pretty insignificant, right? It's easy for me to be like, hey, like we talked about a deadline got missed. I think for me, it's like, I want this to work, and I care about him and his business and us and our business, and here's what I need to be different. So intimately, like I love Connor. I want this relationship to work. I want him to be the person that's helping us get to where we want to go. And this thing needs to change.
Yeah.
Right. It's intimately, there's care. And I hope that's how it landed. And strategically is like, we need to do something different.
Yeah.
Right. And it led to that conversation. So.
Well, and so we talk about this. I bring up kind versus nice on the episode. And I hope that is something else that can be a takeaway for the listeners is, oh, wow, this is what happens when I'm coming from a place of kindness and like what you just said of intimate strategic, right? If I approach it in that way and I can be like, I care so much. And I actually care so much that instead of being nice about it and just being like, oh, it's fine, whatever, we'll get to it, that's not helping that person's business either.
Right. Yeah. The nice thing to do would have been, oh, it's not a big deal. Right. We missed the deadline and I don't want to worry about it. Right. Like that would have been the nice thing is like, no, Connor's, he's great. It's fine. It like next time maybe it'll change. But now I'm just hoping and wishing versus like, hey, we just need to, let's just call this out and let's work through it, because otherwise I'm just going to get frustrated. The other person can just get frustrated. Right. And it's, the kindness, like, again, the kind versus nice thing is such an interesting thing, because even when we talk about it, the kind versus nice puts kind in like a negative, like a tough, more rigid place to come from.
Sure.
And the word is kind.
Yeah. Right.
But like every time I hear it, the nice sounds way lighter and kind sounds heavier in my mind. And it's how do I be kind?
Well,
and from a place of love.
Because being kind it's harder to do that. It's easy to be nice.
Yeah.
It's so easy to be nice and dismiss whatever the thing is. The kind thing to do is usually the tougher thing to do, because I'm uncomfortable with bringing up that honesty and bringing up that truth with that person.
Yeah. And just to update. So we had that conversation live. Obviously we talked after, right? And then there was next steps. Him and I got on a phone call and got really specific around, here's what we need. Here's what he can provide. And how do we get there and do it within budget and without abusing or taking advantage of him and his expertise, and how do we make that all work? So there's been multiple conversations. I think it's important to just name that On Air was just an example of one piece. There's been follow-up, there's been follow-through, and he's in the process of getting our books done for October, right? Those are all those things are on track. So to your point around, we've named two tools, strategic, intimate versus strategic, and we talked about kind versus nice. But so yeah, the moose in the room part, this is just an example of these conscious communication tools are all over, all the time, everywhere, all at once, right? So if someone has a moose, like the nice thing to do with a moose, right, is I just ignore the moose. I just hide behind it. I'd say, oh, it's not a big deal. I brush it off, right? Versus no, like let's put it on the table and let's see if it's probably worth at least mentioning.
100%. I would love for you to break this down. Potentially it's helpful to somebody somewhere. I don't know. What's the reason to break down things so much for accounting purposes, where even our savor dinners, for example, it's breaking down what was actually spent on food versus drinks, as an example.
Sure. I mean, I remember when we were doing a version of this for the holiday party, right? And we were so detailed in what every line was and the budget and actual, and when things are lumped together, I can't manage it.
Yeah.
I can't manage. There's no way to impact it, right? So if the category is $5,000, I need to know the subcategories within it so that I can actually go, well, is 50% of that this one cost? Right. And so for us with the business is understanding that based on the percentages of categories and the line items of categories where we can actually move the needle on some stuff, right? Whatever the budget is, how do we actually break it down and be specific of like, okay, this month we need to focus on this thing. And that's been a learning curve for us, far from perfect at it. But I remember when we did that process of doing more forecasting, more budgeting, and we could see the numbers broken out, detailed, it was like, oh shit, this is super obvious of like what we can actually, where we can make improvements and what we need to do, right? And obviously for us, sales is one of the biggest things, and growing revenue has been the focus, but even having it broken out and getting more specific on where the sales are coming from, where our referrals are coming from, all the detail it gives is just more it's turning data into information, or information into data. I forget which one it is, but actually usable versus lump big giant numbers of categories, because we need to be able to comb through it and figure out what's working, what's not.
Yeah, I mean, just like an example, receiving an invoice for this upcoming holiday party, and there was this big lump sum. It was basically like two big lump sums of, here's the cost of just every single food that's going to be used, and like here's the cost of all of the like utensils and everything else that, you know, goes into it. And for me to look at that, it's like, okay, but I don't know where I can cut anything in here if there's things that can be cut, because it's all just lumped together. What's the cost of the napkins versus the forks versus the whatever on these line items? And then same with the food. It's okay, how many, what are the foods that we're using right now? Can we use something different? Can we swap something out? Can we do more of X and less of Y? Like, it's very hard to see. I mean, even when we did the Padres game, I created a whole spreadsheet of, this is how many of each of the foods that we're going to get, and it serves this many people, and then each of the drinks is, you know, it's a 4-pack or a 6-pack, and it has the right, all of those things matter, because then I, like you said, I can manage that. I can go, okay, well, what if we cut this amount here, and then how does that influence the cost over here, you know? And all of that made it for me to be able to see each of those items was really important.
Well, so that, I mean, so two things with what you just said. One is restaurants are notorious for this, and we get, like, sometimes it gets a little prickly with, they'll say, the restaurant will say, or the venue will say, it serves this many people, right? And I'll be like, but Christina, like, so are we getting 36 sliders, or are we getting enough sliders to serve X amount of people? Is there actually a difference? For certain foods there is, for certain foods there isn't. Right. But like the detail actually matters, right? So that's one of the benefits of having the breakdown. The other thing I'll say is it's very common to do exactly what you just said around the quote you got, because I can hide things, because it's not as transparent. And so companies will do this, and we've heard it in different industries. They'll lump everything together and say, here's your bill. And I can't compare it to apples to anything, because I don't know what's made up of it. Right. So it's actually a more effective way to hide things, whether I'm doing that intentionally or not. Right. And maybe like, I don't actually know what my stuff is, but I know it needs to be at least this. Yeah. So it's not specific, but yeah, from a budgeting standpoint, from a management standpoint, it's really hard. And it's, again, for us, is like, we knew this in like intuitively with the holiday party. And it's like, what if we applied that to every aspect of our business, every dinner, every event, every time, what if all of those have a P&L that we're actually using? And again, work in progress, not perfect with it yet. But I think the glaring obvious thing, and part of it is for us, it's needs based. It's a necessary thing. If we were super strapped in cash, and so sales is like winning in sports, sales covers up the inefficiencies, right? So if we didn't need to be operating that way, we wouldn't, like, there's plenty of places that don't feel like they need to because, well, we got enough cash, we're good. But if we can build it from this way, it's going to make us more profitable, more effective, more efficient, and in the long term, we're gonna be more successful from it.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, because when we have the sales are just that's not a concern at all, and we have the money, and it's we are going to be able to manage that money so well that now, great, we can invest that into so many other things that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. We would just be like, oh yeah, sure, we can cover the cost of that because we have this in the bank and it's fine and whatever. And the hiding piece, I mean, it's funny because you said the two things and you commented on when it says it serves X amount of people, and that's also actually a way of hiding it, because it's not telling me it's this many sliders. Like, this is the number of sliders you get for this. And I'm like, that's all I want to know.
Right. Which is different than if it's like chips and dip, or like something where it's like scoops, or it's like, but even pizza, right? So it's like pizzas it serves 8 to 10. Is it being cut into 8 slices or 10 slices? Are they squares? Are they triangles? Right? Like, we can,
all of that
if
matters.
You tell me 8 to 10 and it's 8 big slices, I can actually stretch that out and say, well, can you cut it into squares? Now we have smaller pieces, we can feed more people.
Right.
Right. And so there's certain things like that. It's just understanding, doing it enough, and understanding that there's opportunity to maximize certain things, and just, again, people package things in a certain way for a certain reason. Sometimes the reason is we don't actually know.
Yeah. And it's also
it's easier
funny because I'm going to use an example of my dad when it comes to booking a flight, and how now there's so many things that it actually tells us a lot of, I guess, line items of, this is what it costs to select your seat, this is what it costs to have a carry-on or a checked bag or sure, right, all these things,
the negative side,
right?
of this.
And he has said time and time again, he's like, don't show me all that, just give me the plane ticket and let me just compare the overall lump sum of this plane ticket compared to that plane ticket, and I don't want to know what every single little detail of every single thing that I'm picking is for, which is funny.
Well, so why do you think airlines started doing that? Because some of it is BS. Like, it's just, I'm just justifying the cost.
Well,
right. That's an unnecessary example of adding line items to justify the rate.
But I think the reason why airlines started doing that stuff is to be able to charge more.
That's what I mean. So they're justifying. There's no cost to picking a seat. That's
that's what I'm saying.
It's a made up thing.
It is a made up thing, but that's what I'm saying is, like, they were like, oh, how can we actually profit more money on just people sitting in seats? Like, oh, if they get to select their seat, I'm going to charge them for it. And and which I just, you and I don't really care where we sit on a plane. So I've never paid to select my seat. That sounds absolutely insane. But there's a lot of people who do it. So it was another way to charge people money. Yeah.
And to break it out is, again, it's just justifying. It's doing the detail to justify more, because there's value there for certain people.
Absolutely. There has to be value.
I will gladly pay. Certain people will gladly pay X to sit on the end, or by a window, or whatever.
Sit by my partner, my person, whatever.
It is, 100%. Yeah. So it's interesting because it can be used both ways. Like, the detail can actually be used. I can hide things if I don't include it, and I can justify a higher price by trying to add or show value of a different thing. Pricing in general is just such an interesting science, and the psychology of pricing and marketing around it has always been super fascinating to me. And what it comes down to the most is value. So how is the value perceived, and how does it land? Yeah, fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you going into that, because I think that it came up very kind of subtly on the episode. Connor just mentioned that that was something that you had asked to have done, right? He said something about splitting up the food and beverage on one of our Savor dinners. And we didn't really talk about it on the episode of what the importance is for that. And I think that was something that I would just wanted to be able to share.
Yeah, I mean, specifically for us, when we host these dinners, how much are we spending on food? How much, like, of the total bill, like, how much is food? How much is liquor? How much is tip? How much is service fees? Right? To understand that, so that because, you know, the way we're doing it is like we're controlling the food cost. People drink what they drink, but to understand typically how much do people drink? What's the average?
Right.
And to be
so
able,
we can know what to expect.
so that we can stay in budget from a food cost, because every restaurant's different. They have different prices. They have different options. They have different things on their menu. All of that information helps us make better decisions to make sure the experience is what it needs to be, and to make sure that we're in line with one of our values, which is we're fiscally healthy, right? That was kind of the genesis of some of the conversations we've had with Connor, and having him be the person to do our books is like, this is what we need. And he talked about, like, we have this AI tool that pulls out stuff from the receipt. And it's like, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
Use that.
That's super helpful, because it's otherwise it's harder to manage.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thanks, bub.
I gotta run, so put her there, bub.
Thanks, bub. Put her there, bub. See you later, bub.